having explained this thing about embodied and situated entities, I must add also that I consider communities, organizations, cities, and so on, agents in history. They are characters in my historical narratives. They have agency just as much as we humans have agency. The problem is, it's not the kind of agency that you define in terms of motives and reasons, the goals that a person had in order to do something, or the cultural norms and values that he or she was following when behaving in a particular way. You think of them in terms of causal agency. Right? Communities do impinge on one another causally, particularly when they have a conflict. Organizations produce, say industrial organizations interact causally with what they do. Cities organize flows of food, medicine, water, which are of course material flows, and they have a certain causal agency to play there. But when we talk about human beings, though, we're talking about a more complex form of agency, because we need to add motives and reasons. At that point, of course, the most important thing is going to be what of the many theories of subjectivity, because there is no consensus on any one theory of subjectivity, do you subscribe to? Now, as a materialist, you need to subscribe to a theory of subjectivity in which the autonomous existence of the material world is accepted. In other words, you cannot go for, say, phenomenology, because in phenomenology, almost axiomatically, almost by definition, the external world does not exist. It's unknowable. It's a metaphysical unknowable, a noumenon, as they call it, right? And all that there is the world as it appears to the human mind. Now, you can imagine that a materialist would not go into that for a single second. So a materialist needs to look for something else, something in which a theory of subjectivity can interface with an autonomous, independent world. Now, that theory can come from someone like Hume, who was a contemporary of Kant, and therefore they offer us competing paradigms. For Hume, perception and experience was not about classification, was not about categories. You don't break up the world into little categories and that's what gives you understanding of the world. For Hume, the world was about raw intensities of color, of sound, of aroma, of taste, of texture, and internal intensities, the intensity of humiliation you felt at that moment, the intensity of pride, the intensity of hatred, the intensity of love, the intensity of joy, the intensity of sadness, right? And it is how from all those intensities, which as newborn babies we feel in a chaotic state, in a delirious state, how do we manage to create a coherent, stable perception in which the intensities are now tamed and domesticated, right? And Hume's answer was habit and routine, but habit and routine in action, not just in contemplation with categories, but in the things that you do, right? It is action beginning with the toddler kind of crawling around and discovering what it is to be behind and what it is to be in front, what it is to be on top and what it is to be wet, what it is to burn yourself. It is in action that we begin taming all those intensities until they become domesticated enough that we can live with them, that we can paint them, that we can write music about them, right? Artists, on the other hand, are experts in not allowing routine to ruin their creativity. They are typically exposing themselves to raw intensities, new raw intensities, to take me away from the tame intensities that are now making my art boring. Yes, it sells, but it's not satisfying me. I need something new. And something new can be as simple as throwing yourself on a parachute or climbing a rock in the Himalayas or just recovering that sense of high intensity.